everybody, Deinonychus here. With me as always is Little Dino. We are in my den, which is called, well, Deinonychus's den.
Welcome to Deinonychus's den, yes.
And I had a request recently to have a look at the full lineup of all the various brick-built tanks that I have a tendency to take pictures of Little Dino with and throw up on his Twitter feed. So we're going to take a quick little tour, show off some of the tanks, maybe give a few factoids out, and maybe you'll learn something along the way. So you're going to see a lot of vehicles in this video, and not every single one of them is a tank. Tank's kind of a tricky term to pin down. A lot of the times it just depends on the use of the vehicle, but generally speaking, if it's got treads, heavy armor, and a cannon and a rotating turret, it's a tank. I'll make a distinction as to what's a tank, what's a tank destroyer, what's a scout car, all that good stuff sometime at the end of the video. Now we could use the term armored fighting vehicle, but then you start getting Humvees mixed in there and other smaller vehicles, and let's just say tank for now. Also in this video you're going to see vehicles from a lot of different toy block manufacturers. You're going to see some Kobe, Oxford, Kazi, Xingbao, Panlos, Mega Blocks, or Mega Constructs, however you feel like saying it. And you're not going to see any Lego. That's because Lego is a very pacifistic company, and they do not like making violent war toys. So let me back that up just a little bit. After the past few years and Lego's lucrative partnership with a few licensors, they've decided to refine that statement in that they will not make modern war toys of vehicles that could be terrorizing children that would possibly buy their product, which is reasonable. But if you were looking for some Lego tanks, you're not going to see any. So let's get started. So starting some things off here with some modern tanks, we have an Israeli Merkava tank, which is one of my top 5 favorite tanks of all time. Then a British Chieftain tank, which apparently the engine was no good on that.
The problem with the engine, because it had a Leyland engine, it kept broken down a lot.
Moving on, we have a German Leopard 1 tank, a United States Abrams tank, modern main battle tank, and a slightly smaller version of the same thing. Now these tanks over here, most of these are Polish tanks, believe it or not. Over here we've got a 7TP twin dual turret tank, a regular single turret 7TP, same vehicle with a slightly different build, and a TKS tankette. This is a captured German Panther that was used by the Polish forces in the Warsaw Ghetto uprisings. It was called Poodle, or Magda, just depending on who you ask. This T-34-85 is called Rudy and is a model of the vehicle used in a Polish TV show called Four Tankmen and a Dog, and it does have the little dog with it, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name. And right here we have a Swedish S-tank. Now this thing's very interesting because it's a tank, but it doesn't have a turret, but it aims by tilting up and down. Moving on, we have a collection of vehicles from the glorious Soviet Union. So up at the top we have a Su-76, Su-85. Here is an IS-2 tank, and a second IS-2 tank with the March on Berlin colors. KV-2 tank, which some people call the Derp gun.
Derpy!
And a KV-1 tank, and very nice camouflage. Now, every tank on this shelf is actually a T-34 tank, even though there are 2 different types. There's a T-34-76, another T-34-76, another T-34-76, and then we get to the bottom shelf, and it's got another one of my top 5 favorite tanks of all time, the T-34-85. And another T-34-85, and another T-34-85. And of course these are also the same tank as Rudy with the dog over here. Moving on to some British vehicles now, and this shelf actually has a figure on it. It has a little figure of noted British tank expert David Fletcher.
This isn't the real thing, this is a replica.
So the British tanks consist of a Matilda tank, a Sherman Firefly, a Cromwell, another Cromwell, another Sherman Firefly, hey David, another Matilda. Moving down we have another Matilda, and oh look, something different. It's a Comet. A Centurion tank, and a Churchill tank. Now the British are sharing some shelf space with the French. Got this really neat looking F19 Lorraine. It's got a oscillating turret with an autoloader, that's why it's got that weird shape. And then we also have a Somua S35. In between shelves we get what's starting to become a Tiger Tower, because we've got a Tiger tank, a Sturm Tiger, which has a big stupid rocket launcher stapled to the front, another Tiger, another Tiger, another Tiger, another Tiger, and there's a couple Panthers down there. So now we get into some American tanks. This entire shelf here is nothing but Sherman tanks, of course named after Richard Sherman, former cornerback of the Seattle Seahawks. Moving down, we've got a Wolverine tank destroyer.
Let's go, bub.
Stuart Scout tank. And a Hellcat tank destroyer. Also, there's a Chaffee tank and a little bit of Soviet overflow over here. We've got an IS-3 and another Su-85. Moving down a bit, some more American tanks. We've got a Patton tank and another Chaffee, a Pershing, another Pershing, another Chaffee, another Patton tank with the scary tiger face on it. The reason for this was during the Korean War, the American forces got the bright idea that painting scary tiger faces on their tanks would scare the North Koreans and the Chinese. It didn't quite work out that well. But nevertheless, awesome scary tiger face. Moving on to some German tanks, which are a lot of people's favorites. This shelf has a Panzer I, Panzer II, Panzer III, Panzer IV, Panzer V, and a Panzer VI. Panzer VI here is notable because it is an actual singular vehicle. It is the Tiger 131 that was captured in North Africa by British forces and now lives in the Tank Museum at Bovington, England. Just down from the sequentially numbered Panzer shelf, we have some more German tanks. We've got another Panzer IV, which incidentally, the Panzer IV is another one of my top 5 favorite tanks of all time. Didn't mention that before, but there it is. We've got a Sturmgeschütz 3, or as it's more commonly known as the Stug 3. A Jagd Panther, a Jagd Tiger, and this monster is called the Mouse.
Mouse. Mouse. Mouse.
Oh, look, more German tanks, and it's not going to get much better than this from here on out. We've got a Hetzer tank and a Panzer 38T, which has an interesting story I'll get to in a second. Another Panzer II. Another Panther. Another 38T, and a Martyr. Now, the interesting story about the 38Ts were they were Czechoslovakian tanks. And then when the Nazis rolled into Czechoslovakia before they started the war, they knew they needed quite a bit more tanks than what they were producing to continue their world domination plan. So they looked at the Czech tank and said, why the heck not? And it actually turned out to be a pretty darn decent tank and served as the basis for a lot of other vehicles like the Martyr and the Hetzer and quite a few others down the road. So it's like the little Czech tank that could, which is kind of a cool story, which makes it also one of my top 5 favorite tanks of all time. Okay, and over here we have more German tanks. Okay, let's get through it. Got another Hetzer, another Panther, a Jagdpanzer IV. There's a Tiger II. This is an elephant. And another tiger. Moving on down, this is a Ferdinand, which is almost exactly the same thing as the elephant here, except the elephant has the little machine gun in the front. Ooh, innovative. A Panzer IIJ, another Jagdpanzer IV, a Stug IV, another Panzer IV, and another Tiger II. So that is all of the tanks on the main shelves that stretch all the way across the room. But is that all of them? Oh, heck no. Got this stray Panzer IV hiding in the corner. Tucked into this sizable hovercraft is a Fox armored car. Trio of fictitious tanks, some Halo Scorpion tanks. And here we have a Halo Rhino tank. Got a Skylanders Troll tank and a Penguins of Madagascar Tiki tank? There's a Bradley hiding by the television. And there's a Buffalo Amtrak on a Dragon Wagon recovery vehicle. How about that one? We've got some more modern vehicles over here. We've got a Striker armored car. The good old Mega Bloks Pro Builder Abrams tank. It's got a Mega Bloks Leopard 2. We got a Chinese Type 99 tank. And this is a Mega Bloks Call of Duty Abrams tank. And a T-90 Russian tank. And then down here we have some armored cars, not tanks. This is a another Striker. An LAV-3, it's Canadian. A Puma armored car, Greyhound armored car, Staghound armored car, and a German 222. And just as a bonus, here's some various trucks and prime movers and jeeps and other various vehicles from World War II. And there you have it. That's where my tanks stand as of today. New tanks are being released almost every day. I'm putting together new tanks almost every day. I'm trying to find a place to put new tanks in this room almost every day. But thanks for coming along. Hope you maybe learned something. Hope you enjoyed seeing all the brick-built vehicles from me and Little Dino here. Hope you had fun. Later.